Guess it would help if I unmuted the mic. Hey. All right. How's everybody doing this fine Sunday? It's finally sunny and almost warm here in southern. Yeah, I know, Mike. Sorry about that, man. I just finished saying while I was muted, I feel disorganized today. The transmitting hour came up, the streaming hour came up really quick. And I was rushing around trying to get everything set up and ready for today's session. But anyway, today's whiskey of choice is going to be Ardbeg, I reckon. And we'll have a little sip here to start the session up with. One of my all-time favorite whiskeys are the Ardbeg series. So we've got our switching manifest all printed up today. And we should be good to go. All the cars are at their designated start points. And we're going to use our GMD1, my little Snoop Dogg switcher today for doing our switching assignments. So, without much further ado, we'll get the little stick of God out here so you know where he is. He's sitting right there right now. Crews are ready. They're going to fire her up and we can get things started here. How are things out your way, Mike? Well, it looks like we got ourselves a whole bunch of cars sitting, well, 3 cars sitting at the central maintenance. So I think we're going to try and clear out some of that debris, shall I say, that's sitting in there. Actually, I've got a covered hopper in there. He's got to go from the grain silos, which he is sitting at right. We're going to point that out right now. So our silos are right here. He's going to be going to the west end, to the far west side of the layout here, or the switching layout, to the co-op. So this little covered hopper here, we got to move him out. We're going to get that one move done. So that frees us up to do whatever we have to do with the 3 cars that are sitting at central maintenance there. 50 Fahrenheit. We're what? About 10 C. I'm old, so I can't even translate the stuff going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So I'm kind of screwed on that stuff. Not that it really matters. If it's cold, it's cold, right? So what we'll do, get the little GMD1 going here. Whereabouts are you, Mike? Sorry. Yeah, it's been a funny week this week for us here in southern Ontario. We've had sub-zero temperatures, 0 Celsius that is, and we've had some plus Celsius days, but spring really hasn't set in quite yet, although today it's quite nice, or bearable, shall I say. You get to an age where you really finally hate winter and the cold weather. At 71, I finally got to that stage. I just assume not. Ah, cool! Excellent. How can I do that? Let me see if I can... get rid of moderator. Yeah, you can post it. Try and post it and see if it'll post. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This whole YouTube studio thing, I'm still trying to learn it. But definitely give it a go and see. And while you're doing that, I'm going to try and prep what I need to do. I know you're in Maryland, but like, I don't know my U.S. geography all that well. I'm going to have to look it up on a map and see how far away from us you are. If memory serves, Mike, you were looking into T-Track, were you, or were you not? Was that another Mike I was dealing with last week? I'm going to have to start taking notes. I think we're going to have to nudge these two covered hoppers that are sitting at the cold storage facility back a little bit here, so we're going to slow down, see if we can nudge them, just so I've got enough room here. Oh, cool! Wow, must be very picturesque. Do you suffer much from the winter weather where you are then? Oops, camera's just gone a little bizarre on me here. Let me bring him back if I can. There's my reset. There was my reset. Sorry about that. I don't know why he decided to go freaky on me. I got this sneaking suspicion it's going to be one of those days. Oops. Might help if I actually did things in the right order here. I'm getting ahead of myself switching the switch machines. Was working on some, what did I do here? Been working on some code this week to handle multiple switches with an Arduino. So we'll see how that all works out. If it works out. First tests look promising on it. The downside to it is, though, it's not going to be for my switching layout here. It's actually for an HO Fremon, or Fremo, not Fremon, Fremon's the N scale, Fremo module that I'm working on, and right now my test on it appears to work okay, but mind you, I only tested it on three turnouts. I've got 8 turnouts on the module, so we'll find out if that's going to work or not for me. I made up some really nice wiring harnesses, so I hope it works, because if it doesn't, I got a lot of work that's going to go out the window. I'm just going to step out of camera view here for a second while we get this car spotted at the co-op, so bear with me. I'll be right back. So where we're coming to, if you look at the west camera, we're coming up into this track here, which is our co-op. That's a tight radius corner that I've got there, turnout that I've got set on this. And I can't do anything about it, unfortunately. So we got that car out of the way. And that opens things up now so we can figure out what to do with these other 3 cars that are sitting at the... Why did you stop there? There shouldn't be any shorts going on. Like I said, the gremlins are going to come out. I know they are. I just finished running this locomotive from the east end all the way through to the west end and on the sidings before I started the broadcast. And what happened? Sure enough... Hey, Coxie, how are ya? Anyways, we're motoring here. We got that car out of the way, so we're good there. I'm gonna stop my little GMD1 for the moment, just so I can make sure I know what my game plan is here. So we got him out of the way. And we've got 3 cars sitting at central maintenance for those who want to pay attention. That'll be this building here, where the pointing stick of God is situated. My other half is over in the UK right now. She's going to be over there for a couple more weeks. So I've been having fun all week playing around with figuring out modules and switching and all this other stuff. So fortunately she isn't here, because she'd freak out for what I've done on the kitchen table right now, because I've got all sorts of track and electronics sitting up there. All right, so we are going to grab covered hopper out of central maintenance. As I say, central maintenance is this building right here, and we're after covered hopper number 3400, which I believe, yes, this is going to be that long Procore hopper. And he's going over to we should have done this all in one move. I should have looked at the list ahead of time. He's going to be going over to the cement factory. And that's, if you look at the west end camera, that's that greenish colored building. Yeah, I've got a, sorry about that, Mike, I missed that message. I've got a pan tilt, little tiny pan tilt camera that's got AI tracking on it, which is great, except when I go out of its range as far as it can swing, it then locks itself to that last position. And I have to remember to go in and reset it. Okay, this is getting... I don't know what the heck is going on here right now. Besides the fact I just... Like I said, I ran this thing just before, like 5 minutes before I went live here. And things were running just ducky. But that's the nature of the beast when you go live. Things don't always go as planned. Yeah, the hand of God, yep. Should be wearing nice big white gloves, and that way I can reach over. So when I finish the broadcast today, the stream, I've got to get some painting done on a control panel. Not for this layout, for the project modules. I think I've got the coating done for the turnouts. The big trick is going to be whether my idea for the turnout motors is going to work. My game plan is to use micro servos, mount them on the bottom of the module, and myself, Mike, sorry, I stopped that in mid-sentence. Not really. I like Atlas and I like Rapido, to be honest. Those are my two favorites. I find the Rapidos have a little more detail than the Atlas stuff does. Both brands work really, really well. Word of caution, though, any brand new locomotive that you get, do a running period with it of probably, I would tell you, minimum half an hour in both directions. And what that does is it allows the locomotive gears and the grease that they put in from the factory. Katos are good as well. I've just kind of, their detail level to me isn't to the standard of the Atlas and the Rapidos. Really, really nice running locomotives, but same rule applies. Make sure you give yourself a good running period. I'm just going to go out of frame here for 1 second. I'm going to show you something that you might want to invest in. So let me take the AI tracking off here. You can get this little device, and I'll get it back up on screen here. This is I call it an exercising track, and it's got slidable nylon spreaders here, but mounted on there are little tiny ball bearings, right there. And what you do, the idea is you set these up underneath the wheels, the road wheels of your locomotive, and then you apply power to the individual sides here and let your locomotive run. It doesn't have to run around in circles. It just sits there and runs away, runs on these bearings. And again, the nice thing is you can just let the thing run continuously for an hour and let it do its break-in and then reverse direction to the opposite direction. Yeah, kind of like a treadmill. And it gives you a chance to actually get that the gears and the grease all worn in properly on the locomotives. Like I said, that holds true for any brand new locomotive. It doesn't matter the scale or the brand. So HO is the same thing, although HO won't fit on that. You should realistically run those things just to get the factory grease and the gear lashing set up properly. Rapido even says it right in their documentation on their locomotives to make sure that you do a break-in period on the locomotives. Because they say at the factory they might get run for about 2 minutes. And that's just to make sure everything is working to what it should. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get the break-in period that you need. So you picked up a Kato, or a few Katos. What did you buy, Mike? What type of locomotives? And are you going to be going for modern era, or like when I say modern, to me that's anything from the 90s up to present, or are you going earlier than that? I'm going to go out of frame again here because I got to throw a switch. So entertain yourself for a moment. Or you can just answer the question, and then when I get back, I get to read it. And yes, Coxie, I'm using the cocktail stick of God for doing my uncoupling. Well, so far so good. Well, you know what? These little cocktail sticks work really, really well for N-scale couplers. At the club, I was using like the larger skewer style, and they work great on HO, but not so much on N-scale. Somebody was mentioning as well using a tiny brush, but to me it looked like it was, you know, one of those Oral-B toothpick things that you can get that's got the bristles on the edge, and you could get it down in between, and it spreads open the coupler, which was a cool idea. I'm going to have a look-see and see if I've got any of those guys kicking around, and if I do, then I'm going to experiment and see if maybe I can extend the handle on one of those and maybe add it to one of these little cocktail sticks and see what happens. Well, you did buy a few, didn't you, Mike? My goodness. Broadway's nice. It does have, which version of the Broadway? 2, 3, or 4, or even 1, I guess, the original. Pay attention, Russ. What are you doing? All right, so we've got we got 2 more guys sitting at the Paragon 4. Okay, I've got no experience with Paragon 4s at this stage. I would tell you 2s and 3s. 2s in particular had a problem with too much grease in the trucks themselves, and they were getting into the pickup area of the road wheels, and would cause you intermittent problems with running. Oh, well, you can't beat that price, can you? My goodness, $100. Wow. We have these 2 other cars sitting at the central maintenance. Who else needs to move here? Okay, we're going to clear out central maintenance because I do have a car sitting over at cold storage, which will be the green building on the east end. One of these 2 covered hoppers has got to go over to central maintenance, but we may as well move those 2 central maintenances to where they need to go. One of them's got to go to our outbound track, and the other one's got to go to, the boxcar has got to go to the welding shop. That works out well for us because the boxcar is the one that's way inside the building. So, without further ado, let's get this party started and get these guys out of here. Hey, Coxie, just so you can see, it's only the shell. I'm just waiting for the decoder to come in. GP9RM with the operating beacons on it and the slug to go along with it. And I've got the shells off because I had to buy them without the decoders, and Rapido's shipping me the decoders and should be here sometime this coming week. And you know what that's for. Yeah, the reason I'm going with the slug, well, the set, is that way on the switching module that I'm working on. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've gone all code 83, and I'm glad we sorted that, because I mean, there's 3 kind of standards with HO, isn't there? There's the 100, the 83, and the 55, and that was kind of why I asked that question earlier of you. in the email as to what code you guys were going to go with. And again, I didn't want to buy something that was going to be wrong for what we were doing. But yeah, for the module, I've got a bit of a switching area in there, so the slug and the GP9 will work well there, and then can still be used to run between the modules as well. Or at least that's my game plan. So it's been a busy week for me, just farting around with the ideas in my head for this thing. And it's funny, just like putting something down on paper, doing stuff in my head works out perfect every time until I actually have to do it. Mike, sorry. I was going to say, yeah, I thought that was Coxie there for a second. Where to buy your Kapton tape? Buy it from Amazon. I think they have it in, you can buy a set of all different widths of your Kapton tape. And it comes in quite handy because sometimes the wide stuff is a little too wide, and other times the narrow stuff for certain applications is just too narrow. So it's good to have. I think I've got a 4-pack of various widths of Kapton tape. I do not use electrical tape. It's too thick. And do not use Scotch tape because it is not electrically friendly from the standpoint of isolating electricity from your shells. So yeah, be patient, get the proper tape, and then you've got it. Don't do stuff, pardon my French, half-assed, because if you do, it's going to come back and bite you. Sadly, I mean, I'm not going to say I've learned through experience on doing that, because honestly I haven't. But I've heard too many horror stories on people that have tried to do shortcuts on stuff, and it just hasn't worked for them. Okay, this setup's a bit too long here, so what we're going to have to do is break this apart and take it in 2 sections, sadly. My first thought was I should have grabbed the stuff from the cold storage facility and moved them, but one of them has to go to where we just took these guys out of. So the logic behind that didn't make any sense to me to do it that way. And the better logic to me was to do it this way. And wouldn't you know it, it's not working. Yeah, you may have opened up a bit of a can of worms, Coxie, on this project in some way, shape, or form. Not that that's a bad thing, but we're going to have to definitely do some thinking on stuff. We had at one point talked about connectors and to be interoperable within the Fremo modules. It looks like they're all using power pole connectors. I've got shells. I just got to pick up some of the physical connectors to go inside of the shells, and they're using same as what's used in T-Track. They're using blue and white for their main track power. And this guy's going to, of course you did it wrong, Russ. Too busy talking. That's the problem. Yeah, so, yeah, the, yeah, I mean, that's the best bet for us, is to try and keep it compatible to as greater extent as we can. Granted, you could go with adapter cables, but then that gets confusing because what happens if you forgot one of them at home, or one got misplaced at a show or whatever. So yeah, it's something I think we need to kind of avoid if we can. So we're gonna revisit this switching session that's happening here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these cars back past the points. I'm going to uncouple the boxcar from the covered hopper, because the covered hopper needs to go to our welding shop that's sitting in our central camera and way over here, tucked in behind the feed mills, or sorry, the silos. So what we're going to do, if I can see past the trees, can't see the couplers for the trees. I got her. Oh, you're not derailing the session. What this does do is it extends the session. You got to look at it in the right light. Because all of my failures are just that, they're failures. And that's the one nice thing about being live, is there's no editing involved in this stuff. So what you see is what you get. You get to see all the mistakes that happen. I do have to say, dealing with Rapido was really, really good for getting the two decoders that I needed for the GP9 and the Slug. The guys in service were good about it, and talking with them, they said, yeah, we'll forward your request over to sales department, and they will send you an invoice. Once the invoice is paid, we will program the decoders for you. So very, very cool. All right, so we got that guy at the welding shop, which is good. We'll get the welders going. So that's one more car out of the way. We're doing well here. I thought this was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna jinx myself. I thought this was gonna go really, really well, or really, really badly at first, as far as getting the switching session done. And what I mean by that is I just thought it was gonna be a nightmare to do. And to be quite honest, touch on wood, so far things are going okay. But like I said, I think I just probably jinxed it. We'll see. So we'll pick this boxcar up, because this boxcar has got to go to... He's going to our outbound track. Does anybody else need to go there that we have to worry about? No. So he's going to be the only one that we have to mess about with. So we may as well just get him out of the way and be done with it. Are we no, of course we're not coupled. Why would we be coupled? You miss my gripes every week about compatibility with couplers. But it's funny. I was on Kevin's Tiny Trains stream last night, and it was interesting because I happened to come into his stream when he was bitching about couplers, and we have the same gripe, the two of us. I said it's kind of like electric cars these days. You know what? Life would be so much easier if the manufacturers would just go with a standard connection, no matter what the make is, and then you don't have to worry. So if they made the couplers all the same to one standard, it would make life for N-scalers and HO people a whole lot easier. But if we didn't have something to complain about, where would the fun be, right? So this boxcar is going to our outbound track. He's the only one that's leaving the area. But while we're down there, or while I'm down there, I do have to pick up a tank car that's sitting in the inbound track. So I'm going to drop off this boxcar down at the west end, and then we're going to pick up a tank car which has to go to East Maintenance, and East Maintenance is this building right here. But as you can see, there's a boxcar sitting there already, and we're going to have to move him. So hang in there, entertain yourselves. I'll be right back. So what I'm going to do, hopefully you can hear me, I've got a yard set up on the west end here that I've got some trackage that I can move my cars into, or the various freight cars into. And I'm just going to move this box car into one of those sidings for the time being. And then I'll come back and I'm going to pick up the tank car that needs to come back up to the welding shop. And we're back.
Temperature 8 degrees. Transmission.
So we've got to move this guy up to the welding shop. That'll be an easy move. So basically almost reversing everything we've just done, but with a different car. So we'll just pull her up towards the cold storage facility. We're going to come up to here. We'll then go forward, set up our tracks here, or turnouts, I mean. Make sure we're set here, which we are. What I should do is my original layout, that switching layout that I had set up down here before my T-Track modules. Thank you, Coxie, for them. I had dwarf lights set up on all my turnouts, and I should get off my butt and figure out how to do that with the setup I have now. It was rather handy. That way I didn't have to constantly look at the switch position to know we were set properly. All right, let's get this guy uncoupled. The cocktail stick of God's going in, doing its thing. Beautiful. So that guy's done. That's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. All right, we've got these two guys sitting up at cold storage, which is the green building in the east end camera. And let's see where they have to go. Well, one of them's staying put, which is good. And I bet you they're backwards to what I'm expecting. ADM, which, oh, of course, yeah. ADM is this guy sitting at the most easterly end of things. That guy has got to go to central maintenance, which is where we just cleared all those other cars out from. So, we got to play games here a little bit. So we'll see how this is going to work out. We're going to have to pull both of them, if they coupled, which they did not. Come on. Oh, I see. Yeah, misalignment on the couplers. There we go. Got her. So what we're going to do is stop right where we are. All right, let's try this again. That car had the shakes. That ADM car was sitting there shaking. That was crazy. Why? Did you derail? Oh, no, you derailed. That's why. Why are you derailed? There was no reason. Switches are set right. Huh. Well. Okay, ADM is going to central maintenance, but we have a car sitting at central maintenance. Oh, no, sorry. We have a car sitting at east maintenance. He's got to go to central maintenance. So we're going to have to do a little runaround here with the cars. So what we will do is we'll stop right there. Back him up. We're going to end up spotting him on the track here for a second. So we can do a run around with the locomotive. I love this little GMD1. It's a Rapido product. Runs like a trooper. And I'm sorry, but looking at that locomotive, to me, it always reminds me of Snoopy with that long nose that it's got on it. So I tend to call it my Snoop Dogg locomotive. So a lot of times I forget to call it a GMD1 and call it my Snoop Dogg. So we'll get our lights set the proper way around here. Get down inside there. Onto the main track we go. You're not out soaking up the sun today, Coxie? Enjoy it while we can. One of the few days we've actually had decent sunshine and a little bit of temperature as well. So my whole... Oh yeah? Yeah, nice. I'm doing my switching today with my GMD1 throttle, my wireless throttle. It makes life a little more complicated because it does have some momentum built into it, which by default the standard throttle typically doesn't. So I can dial in with one of the push buttons some of the startup momentum and some of my braking momentum. Well, it's got progressive braking lever on it, so I can dial that as much as I like. But I tend to forget when I grab the progressive progressive brake that all I really need to do is move it a tiny little bit and it'll give me braking. I tend to go full braking on it and it stops fairly quick. So our idea is we're on the main line right now. We're going to be coming back onto our service track and picking up the ADM covered hopper, and we're going to back him back onto the industrial lines here and push him into central maintenance. That's the plan. I think I need to look at the truck mounting pins on that this AMD car. It's shaky. Can't believe how shaky that guy is. Oop. Get our other set of lights set here so we can proceed through. Yeah, we were all younger once. Some of us still younger in our minds than we should be. You only go around once anyway, so may as well enjoy it. Have fun while you can. And the other, I think it was last week, if you know anything about muskets at all, the old style muskets, they use what's called a frizzen, which is a hardened piece of steel, which when the flint strikes it creates the spark. Well, they wear out after a while, and they have to be rehardened. I'd sent off my frizzen to be rehardened there back September-ish of last year, and I just got it back last week and got it back into my musket. So hopefully I'm all set for the start of the 1812 season. And I'll get to pick and choose which engagements I'm going to. And speaking of which, Mary Grace talks about a show in June. Do you have a date on that show yet? Because I know I do have one 1812 event in June. I just got to look up the date. Okay, so now we can get this guy into, once I get my switches set correctly, we can get this guy into central maintenance. Yay! We're getting there. Slowly but surely, people. Thanks for hanging in. I just happened to look down at the number of subscribers I've got. I got 55 subscribers now. To me, that's impressive, considering I don't do this for subscribers. Hey, Closet Brad, how are ya? You got to Dystopia's stream late today. He threw up a surprise stream I saw. Doesn't look like he ran very long though. Building is building? Yeah, building is building. Sounds a bit odd to say that, but... How are you doing today? Hope all is well in your end of the world. All right, he's done. He is at central maintenance. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. All right, who's where? We got somebody still sitting at East Maintenance, and he's got to go to the welding shop, which is where those other two cars are. So we're going to have to do a run around with him as well. And I got to put that covered hopper back at the cold storage facility. So let's move him there, because it's an easy move. Closet Branch, could you refresh my memory? Where are you located? That's a good spot because I can reach the couplers still. I like that cold storage facility. The problem with it is it's got that overhang, so I really can't stop a car underneath the overhang. I can push it back a bit if I need to. Okay, so he's where he needed to be, so that is good. So our last move that we have to worry about, then we can just sit and discuss stuff if you guys like, is we got to get this boxcar sitting at East Maintenance. He has got to go to I think that's him. Yeah, DH. Okay. He's got to go to the welding shop. So, let's back up and try that again. Yep, no problem. That gives us time to organize as well, Coxie, which is good. The Pennsylvania, woohoo! Kind of a hop, skip, and jump away from us. Mike Weir, if you're still on, Mike, we were talking about you're up in Chesapeake Bay, and with the cold winter this year, we're just north of Lake Ontario by maybe a couple hour drive, or yeah, hour and a half drive, and it was a really cold winter this year as well. Especially Lake Erie, because Lake Erie had almost completely frozen over according to reports. So yeah, brutal winter all the way around by the sounds of it. It was cold, that is for sure. So we're going to have to do the runaround thing again, so we'll grab this boxcar, we're going to pull him out, and we'll do a runaround. Yeah, careful what you say though, Mike. You don't want to pee off Mother Nature. You tell her that it's spring is here, and she'll turn around and throw something else at you, which you won't like. We had gotten rid of all our snow here, and in last week she decided to throw some more at us. Fortunately, it didn't stay, but then she backed it up. Yeah, then she backed it up with rain, and we got a ton of rain, and then we got some freezing rain on top of that. So, as I say, you just don't want to tick off Mother Nature. She's a cruel, cruel woman, she is. So we're going to back this guy up, and we're going to spot him. And we're going to do a bit of a runaround here and pick him up on the front end. And we're going to drag him back and get him over to the welding shop, which is, for those paying attention, on your west central camera. It'll be this building here. The guys are already busy welding away. Oops, see, I'm not paying attention, am I? The guys are already welding away on the two cars that we already took in there earlier. I like to have stories behind why stuff is going to a certain location. And those that guys that have been here before know that I am a fan of model railroading and model railroads in general having a purpose. And I feel that a switching layout gives a model railroad a purpose rather than just running cars around and around and around. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with running trains around and around and around. That actually makes things a lot easier for doing stuff like this with live broadcasts, because you get to interact with the audience, those that are sitting and watching the stream and chatting, because you get to interact with it. Where doing a switching layout like this, sadly, I have to pay attention more to what's going on with the railroad. And you've seen I've already messed up a couple of times today because I haven't paid attention. But I can claim being senile. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, next time we meet up, Coxie, I'll have you remind me, and I'll tell you my tale of woe for figuring out switching for the or switch matrixing for the project. Thought I was losing my mind, and I could have been, for all I know. But it was kind of funny. All right, let's get this thing done. Come on, hurry up. Quick, quick, quick. Are the signs all working still? Yep. My Farmers Co-op reader board way down at the west end there, periodically, and I think it's static electricity to be honest, freezes. And there's no reason for it to freeze because it's just running on 5-volt power, same as this little guy here. And so it should run smoothly. But I know this weather, because it tends to be dry, especially in our basement here, periodically I get static electricity, and I think sometimes I inadvertently zap that thing and it freezes, so I have to cycle the power on it. Not that it's a big deal, but just something I have to be aware of and periodically check the cameras to make sure things are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit the microphone. My bad. All right, let's get these switches set correctly ahead of time. It's funny, I was talking to somebody, I guess it could have been last night, and sometime during the week, because I've been on a couple of streams as a participant in the chat areas, and the number of people just getting into DCC is pretty astounding, and so many of them have not heard of DCCEX before, and so I give them a link to it and tell them what it is and that it's fully compatible with everything that's out there. And it just shocks me that the community hasn't excuse me, that a lot of the community has not heard of DCCEX, and it's been around for such a long time that you would think it would be well known. So we'll get this car. We may have to give that covered hopper a little nudge that's sitting at the cold storage facility here, just to give us enough clearance to get past the points. That should do us, I hope. And hopefully we didn't pick him up. We'll find out in a second. Nope, we didn't. That's good. Excellent. All right, so we're going to push this box car back into the welding area, and we'll give those cars that are currently sitting in the welding shop, there's 2 of them in there. There is a covered hopper, and there is a tank car sitting in there currently. So just so you know, I'll put the pointing stick of God to the building. And you can see the tank car sitting here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to nudge them back a little bit so that we can get the box car a little closer to the welding shop itself. Yeah, we'll stop her there. I will uncouple and we'll get the GMD1 out of there. What's everybody's plans for the rest of the afternoon / evening? I know what my plans are. More work on the railroad. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up bringing the GMD1 back down to where we started from at the beginning of this session, which is going to be sitting down here. The crew will shut her down at that point, and then we'll be able to chat in silence. We'll kill the welding shop here now. We don't need that background noise anymore. Get our switches aligned for what we plan on doing here. Stop him. Work and tax. Oh, yes, it is that time of year. I just found out I owe $3,400. How is that possible? I'm retired. I'm not supposed to owe any money. So my tax person said, do you have any medical or charitable donations that you've made this year? And I went, nope. All my medical's covered, so there's none of that. And I don't have any charitable donations. I said, I should be the charitable donation. I don't understand our tax system. It's just craziness. There we go. So another successful switching session on the Sundays. Yeah, but Coxie, the thing is, I mean, you're going to pay it through the year in deductions anyway. So at least I get to keep the money till the end, rather than the government getting the benefit of having all my tax money. I mean, if I'm going to pay $3,400 throughout the year, it's not much different if I have to pay it at the end of the year. I just have the tax person tell me what it is that I owe, and fire it off through the bank and be done with it. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Just think what I could have bought with $3,400. Well, I probably did anyway, but you just never know. And you would think in this day and age, with all the increases in benefits that they give you and all this other stuff, that you wouldn't be owing taxes. My income doesn't change. It's whatever my pension is, or pensions are, and old age security. That's it. It is what it is, and that's all I've got. So, like I say, though, you only go around once, so you may as well enjoy it. And you've worked all your life for your money. You have a chance to spend it, then spend it. Anyway, that's at this stage, that's the end of our switching session for this Sunday. And we can kind of leave her at that, and everybody can get back to doing whatever their Sunday afternoon / evening is getting them to do, or their other half is getting them to do, which I don't have to worry about right now. So I can do whatever I want, which is good. So long as I make sure that the house is back to the same state it was when she left, I'll be fine. Anyways, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and I hope you have a great week. And hopefully, we'll see you again next Sunday at the same time, same place. We'll have a different switching session set up. I'll talk nicely to my trusty computer and get it to generate another decent switching session for me, and we'll go from there. Anyway, people, enjoy yourselves. Have a great day, and we'll see you later. Cheers, everybody.